We are now tracking what could be either the biggest snowstorm of the season for the East Coast or a complete miss. And the difference between these outcomes comes down to just a few miles in storm track. The signal for this weekend's nor'easter has strengthened significantly, and we have new developments on the polar vortex that could make the second half of February even more extreme than what we've already experienced. Let me be direct about where we stand. High confidence now exists that the Carolinas and Virginia will see accumulating snow from this system Saturday into Saturday night. That part of the forecast is essentially locked in. The big question remaining is what happens further north. And that depends entirely on how fast two pieces of atmospheric energy phase together. Here's the meteorology. We're watching the polar jet stream dropping south from Canada and the subtropical jet pushing north from the Gulf of Mexico. These two pieces of energy will merge somewhere along the southeast coast. The faster they phase together, the stronger the low-pressure system becomes and the closer to the coast it tracks, meaning heavy snow and potential blizzard conditions for the I-95 corridor. The slower they phase, the more this system drifts out to sea, becoming primarily a fish storm that spares the major cities. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. The ensemble guidance shows an Arctic high dropping out of Canada Friday, which will help generate a low-pressure system right off the Outer Banks of North Carolina. That low is projected to deepen rapidly. We're talking about a bomb cyclone developing with pressure dropping 24 millibars or more in 24 hours. The ensemble mean shows this system reaching 965 millibars just east of Nova Scotia by Sunday. That's a formidable low-pressure center, essentially hurricane equivalent in intensity. The comparisons to the legendary winter of 2013 are becoming more apt by the day. Winter Storm Nemo in February 2013 was exactly this type of system, a rapidly intensifying nor'easter that produced historic snowfall across New England. That storm dropped 40 inches on Hamden, Connecticut, nearly 32 inches on Portland, Maine, and about 25 inches on Boston. The central pressure bottomed out around 968 millibars with hurricane-force wind gusts exceeding 100 miles per hour. What we're tracking this weekend has the same explosive potential. But here's what makes this even more significant. New data on the stratospheric polar vortex suggests we could be heading into the coldest stretch since 2014 during the second half of February. The polar vortex is splitting, one lobe over Asia, another over North America. This is about as extreme as the stratospheric pattern can get, potentially causing a full wind reversal in the upper atmosphere. When this happens, cold Arctic air leaks down from the stratosphere to the surface over a period of weeks. The implications for our weather pattern extend not just through winter, but potentially into early spring. Let me walk through what the major models are showing for this weekend's storm. The European model from this morning shows high confidence in accumulating snow for the Carolinas and Virginia up into southern Maryland. The system then crawls along the coast, potentially delivering a crushing snowstorm to eastern Long Island, eastern Connecticut, Rhode Island, eastern Massachusetts, Cape Cod, down east Maine, and especially Nova Scotia. Boston and Cape Cod could see a foot or two of snow on this solution. However, New York City barely gets an inch because the heaviest snow stays just offshore. The GFS model takes the storm further out to sea but still delivers significant snow to the eastern Carolinas and Virginia. It phases slower than other models, pushing the heaviest snow offshore even of Cape Cod, though Nova Scotia gets hammered. The national blend of models, which combines multiple guidance sources into one output, shows double-digit snowfall averages for upstate South Carolina, much of central and eastern North Carolina, southeastern and southern Virginia, southern Maryland, and eastern Massachusetts. Cape Cod shows a bullseye for over a foot on the blend. Now let me break down the regional forecasts with specific city expectations. For the Carolinas, this is becoming a high-confidence snow event. Central and eastern North Carolina are in the prime zone on virtually every model solution. Raleigh could see 4 to 8 inches depending on exact track. Greenville and the eastern Piedmont could see even higher totals. Some solutions show 8 to 12 inches for this region. The Outer Banks face a sharp gradient, but could see significant accumulation. Charlotte remains on the western edge with 2 to 4 inches likely, possibly more if the track shifts slightly west. South Carolina sees snow potential extending into the upstate and Midlands. Columbia could see 2 to 4 inches. Greenville and Spartanburg are in the zone for 3 to 6 inches on multiple solutions. Even Charleston could see a coating to an inch, depending on how far south the cold air penetrates. Georgia's northern tier remains on the edge. Atlanta's northern suburbs might see light accumulation. Athens and areas toward the mountains could pick up an inch or two on the wraparound moisture. Virginia presents the sharpest forecast gradient. Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and the Tidewater region are in the bullseye on multiple models. This could be an all-timer for southeastern Virginia, with 6 to 12 inches possible if the track cooperates. Richmond shows solid potential for 4 to 8 inches. Northern Virginia and the D.C. suburbs face more uncertainty. Their outcome depends almost entirely on how close the storm tracks. The blend shows around 4 to 6 inches for the immediate D.C. area, but individual solutions range from near zero to over a foot. Maryland's eastern shore and southern sections look like hot spots with 6 to 10 inches possible on multiple solutions. The Delmarva Peninsula could see significant accumulation regardless of minor track variations. 6 to 12 inches is in play. For the Mid-Atlantic corridor, this remains a boom or bust scenario. Washington, D.C. shows around 7 inches on the national blend, but that's averaging wildly different solutions. The same applies to Baltimore and Philadelphia. These cities could see anything from a dusting to a foot depending on track. New Jersey presents a sharp gradient. Southern Jersey near the coast has higher confidence for significant snow, 6 to 10 inches possible. Northern New Jersey's outcome depends more heavily on exact track. New York City sits right on the edge. The European model shows barely an inch for Manhattan, while eastern Long Island gets hammered. The blend shows more accumulation, but confidence is lower than areas further south. Long Island's South Shore and eastern sections could see 6 to 12 inches on favorable solutions, while the city sees much less. For New England, the forecast becomes fascinating. Boston and eastern Massachusetts could see a crushing snowstorm if the European model's solution verifies, potentially a foot or more. Providence faces similar potential. Cape Cod, Nantucket, and Martha's Vineyard are in the prime zone for heavy snow on multiple solutions. However, interior New England sees much less. Worcester could see 4 to 6 inches while Boston sees a foot. That's how tight the gradient could be. Hartford and interior Connecticut face similar uncertainty. Down east Maine and the Maritimes look like winners regardless of minor track shifts. Nova Scotia should prepare for a significant snow event. Now let me address the extreme cold, because this is extraordinary. Arctic air remains locked in place east of the Rockies with temperatures running 30 to 35 degrees below normal, and this is during the climatologically coldest time of year. Wind chills are reaching 10 to 20 degrees below zero across the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, with dangerous 30 to 40 below readings in Ontario and Quebec. The cold following this weekend's storm will be even more intense. Monday and Tuesday mornings bring potential lows in the upper 30s for Miami, below freezing for Orlando, and single digits reaching deep into the Carolinas and Virginia. This cold push extends all the way to Florida and the Bahamas. Looking beyond this weekend, the pattern supports continued extreme weather. Lake effect snow machines are producing 1 to 3 feet of additional accumulation around the Great Lakes through Friday. Clipper systems are dropping light snow across the northern plains. The February outlook is remarkable. The first week features this nor'easter threat for the East Coast. Weeks 2 and 3 show that stratospheric polar vortex split translating to surface-level impacts, potentially the coldest, most record-breaking cold since 2014. Around mid-February, signals are growing for a major Colorado low tracking across the central United States, a potential doozy for the upper Midwest and Central Plains. Late February shows that pattern transferring toward the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. For areas like Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and northern Illinois that have had a snow hole this winter, February looks to fill in those deficits. The snow opportunities are substantial across the northern tier through the rest of winter. The bottom line for this weekend, someone along the East Coast is getting a memorable snowstorm. The Carolinas and Virginia have high confidence for accumulating snow. The I-95 corridor from D.C. to Boston remains conditional on track, but should be paying close attention. Cape Cod and eastern New England could see a crushing event if the track stays close enough to the coast. The models will continue evolving over the next 24 to 48 hours. Watch for trends. Is the storm phasing faster or slower? Is it tracking closer to the coast or further offshore? Those trends will determine who wins and who watches from the sidelines. This is shaping up to be a winter that rivals 2013 in intensity and memorability. Stay tuned for updates as this potentially historic storm continues to develop.